I invite you to observe. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the breath as it enters and as it leaves. This is the river of life flowing through you. Now ask yourself a simple question. Where does this river flow when it leaves me? Does it water my own garden? Or does it pour into the endless sand of another's desert? An ancient teaching from my tradition speaks of the mind, not as a fortress to be defended, but as a vessel to be consciously filled. This vessel is your life, your energy, your presence. If it is constantly being filled with stones from another person's quarry, where is the space for your own clear water to collect? Where is the stillness in which truth can be reflected? There is no judgment in this. There is only seeing. Some ways of giving empty the vessel. Some ways of connecting create leaks that drain our very spirit. This is not a fault. It is a dynamic, it is a flow. And today I invite you not to build walls, but to simply sit by the riverbank of your own life and understand its currents. To know when to let the river flow and when to guide its course. Let us walk this path of seeing together. 1. The current of unsolicited burdens. Imagine you are standing on the shore of a great river. Someone is struggling in the water. They cry out. Your first instinct, born of compassion, is to jump in. But as you pull them to shore, they do not learn to stand on their own 2 feet. The moment you release them, they throw themselves back into the current, expecting you to save them again. This is the first energy flow to observe. In my tradition, we understand that true compassion is not in carrying another's weight indefinitely. It is in showing them where to find their own strength. There are those whose spirits are caught in a cycle of chaos. They are not yet ready to leave. They do not truly seek healing. They seek a temporary harbor from the consequences of their choices. They mistake your kindness for an obligation. They see your peace not as something to learn from, but as something to consume. Your life is not an emergency service for another's emotional recklessness. You are not a lifeline for those who refuse to learn the rhythm of their own breath in the water. To constantly rescue a person from themselves is to abandon the sacred duty of your own journey. The path to your own becoming requires your full attention. You cannot walk your road if you are carrying someone else on your back. Observe how this feels in the body. The request does not always come in words. It comes as a sigh, a heavy silence, an unspoken expectation that you will absorb their storm so they can have a moment of sun. And when you do, feel the weight. Where does it settle? In your shoulders? A knot in your stomach? A fog in your mind? Your body does not lie. It is the earth that tells you when it is bearing a weight that is not its own. To step back is not selfish. It is an act of profound honor to yourself and, in truth, to them. For it is only when the rescuer steps away that the person in the water must finally choose to learn to swim or to continue to drift. You are not being unkind. You are practicing energetic integrity. You are making space for your own wholeness. I invite you to place a hand on your heart and say, quietly to yourself, this weight is not mine to carry. I return it to its source with compassion, but I will not carry it for another step. 2. The current of conditional giving. Think of your energy, your time, your resources as water in a well. It is there to nourish life. But what happens when someone comes to your well not to drink, but to demand you fill their perpetually cracked jar? What happens when giving no longer feels like an offering, but a debt you are forced to pay? This is often seen with money, but it is a deeper current. It is the trap of giving from a place of guilt. Guilt is a tangled root. It wraps itself around your heart, disguised as love, as loyalty, as duty. Someone, perhaps a friend or family member, learns the map of your tender places. They know your desire to be a good person, and so their need becomes a hook, and your compassion the bait. You give not from abundance, but to quiet the noise of obligation. You lend, not to help, but to avoid the discomfort of their disappointment. An ancient wisdom teaches that a gift given from a place of fear or debt poisons both the giver and the receiver. You are not truly helping them. You are enabling their avoidance of their own path. You are giving them a fish, and in doing so, You are allowing them to forget that they have hands to weave their own net. You are helping them avoid looking into their own soul while you carry the weight of their choices. That weight accumulates. It becomes resentment. It becomes anxiety about your own stability. Your well begins to run dry, yet their cracked jar remains empty. And then, the moment comes when you must say no. For your own survival, you must protect your well. In that moment, the mask falls. The person who depended on your guilt does not respond with understanding. They respond with anger. You are called selfish, cold, ungrateful. But look closely. Are they angry because you are wrong, or because you have removed the convenience? They are not lashing out at your choice. They are lashing out because their crutch has been removed, forcing them to feel the unsteadiness of their own legs. Their love was conditioned on your compliance. Your energy is not a currency to be spent on emotional debts. Your life is not a rescue mission. True compassion does not require self-abandonment. You can care deeply and still create a boundary. You can wish them well from the shore. Helping someone does not mean saving them from their life's lessons. You can offer a cup of water, but you do not have to surrender the entire well. I invite you to feel this. Where has guilt become a chain? And can you, with one clear breath, say no? Not as an attack, but as an honoring of your own sacred ground. 3. The current of inherited storms. Picture a vast and ancient mountain. At its feet, two villages have been at war for generations. The wind that howls through the canyons carries the echoes of old grievances, of resentments passed from father to son, mother to daughter. You were born on the mountain, not in the villages below. Yet they call to you, demanding you come down. Take our side. One village cries, be our messenger. The other pleads. They wish for you to descend into their war, a war whose origins you do not know, a war whose wounds you did not create. This is the current of family conflict. The wisdom of my tradition teaches that sometimes the greatest act of love is a steadfast refusal to enter another storm. You are not a peace treaty for people committed to misunderstanding each other. The unlived lives, the unresolved pain of our ancestors, they often become the silent burdens we are expected to carry simply because we share a name or bloodline. This is an emotional inheritance we have the right to refuse. When someone asks you to take sides, what they are truly asking is for you to sacrifice your own clarity for their chaos. They may dress it in the language of duty or loyalty. You're the only one they'll listen to, they might say. But this is a trap. It places you in the center of a battlefield. You become the shield, and you will be the first to feel the impact when the arrows fly. They do not truly seek resolution. They seek validation for their own narrative of pain. They want you to add your energy to their fire. To remain on your mountain is not an act of coldness. It is an act of wisdom. To be neutral is not to be heartless. It is to preserve the one place of peace from which true help could one day be offered. If you are dragged into the mud, you cannot show others the way to clean water. Love that demands you participate in dysfunction is not love, it is control. You can wish them healing from the peak of your mountain. You can send them light without descending into their darkness. You can love them and still refuse to be the glue for pieces that are not yours to hold together. Some will not understand this. They will call you distant, selfish, uncaring. Let them. Let their words be the wind that blows past you. Silence in this case is not weakness. It is protection. It is a boundary. You are here to grow, to reach for the sun, not to be tangled in the thorny roots of inherited pain. So I invite you to ask, is this my storm to calm? If the answer is no, then stand your ground. Be the mountain. Let the clouds of conflict pass below you. Your peace is your power. 4. The current of the diminished self. Imagine a magnificent, ancient tree, whose nature it is to grow tall, its branches reaching for the light. Now imagine a smaller shrub growing in its shade. The shrub, feeling insecure in its smallness, does not ask, how can I grow taller? Instead, it says to the tree, your height makes me uncomfortable. Please, bend your branches down, dim your presence. Shrink so that I may feel better about myself. This is one of the most subtle and damaging currents. It is the request, spoken or unspoken, for you to change who you are to accommodate another's comfort. They may ask you to quiet your joy because it highlights their sorrow. They may ask you to soften your truth because it challenges their beliefs. They may ask you to dim your light so they can feel safe in their own shadows. This is not a request for love. It is a demand for control, cloaked in the guise of emotional need. There was a woman named Maria. Her spirit was vibrant, like a garden of colorful wildflowers. She played loud music in the mornings and wore scarves that danced with the wind. But her children, uncomfortable with her freedom, told her she was embarrassing. They told her to act her age. Believing this was the price of love, Maria began to mute her colors. She silenced her music. She pruned her own wildness. Years passed and her spirit, once a vibrant garden, became a tidy, gray lawn. Until one day, looking in the mirror, she no longer recognized the stranger staring back. In that moment of awakening, she remembered her uniqueness was not a flaw to be corrected. It was her sacred expression. She chose herself again. The people who ask you to be less than who you are often at war with themselves. Your light does not attack them. It simply illuminates the parts of their own garden they have refused to tend. Do not carry that burden for them. Do not drink the subtle poison of their disapproval. Do not start apologizing for the space you occupy. You are not here to be a smaller, edited version of yourself to win their affection. The right people, the right connections, will not ask you to choose between their love and your self-respect. They will not resent your evolution. They will be inspired by it. They will celebrate your growth, for it reminds them that they too can grow. But you must never, ever make yourself small to keep peace with someone who is committed to staying in the shade. That is a false peace. It is the quiet death of the soul. So I invite you, feel the truth of your own being, the part of you that is bold and bright and untamed. Refuse to apologize for it. Let them adjust their eyes to your light or let them walk away. But you stay whole. Your light is not a weapon. It is a gift. Let it shine. 5. The current of hidden thorns. There are words that feel like honey, but carry a bitter aftertaste. There are smiles that are perfectly shaped, but do not warm the space between you. There are gestures of support that feel hollow, like a beautiful drum with no skin. This is the current of hidden thorns, the energy of someone whose heart is not aligned with their actions. My tradition teaches us to observe not just the form, but the essence. The form is the word, the smile, the compliment. The essence is the energy behind it. Your mind may hear the compliment, "I am so happy for you," but your spirit feels a chill. It feels a tightening. This is not imagination. It is your deepest sense, your intuition, reading the truth that the body cannot hide. The body is the soul's language, and it does not know how to lie. Look for the small signs. The sarcasm disguised as a joke, but always aimed at your most tender place. This is not humor. It is a poisoned dart thrown with a smile. The subtle sabotage, where they forget the important moments, or offer advice that gently nudges you off your path. The silent competition, where your success is not celebrated, but measured. Every win of yours feels like a loss to them, and you can feel the shift in the room. They clap, but the sound is empty. These thorns are the expressions of an unhealed part of the other person. What some call the shadow, we might call the hungry ghost. It is the part of them that feels unseen, unworthy, and unloved. And so it feeds on the light of others. It does not hate of you. It resents the light that reveals its own emptiness. When you succeed, your light makes their shadow more defined, and this is uncomfortable for them. So they try to control you through what appears to be care. Their advice always leads you towards smallness. Are you sure? That's a big risk. What they mean is, don't grow beyond where I can be comfortable with you. They will gossip, not with malice, but with feigned concern, planting seeds of doubt about you in the minds of others. I'm just worried about her, they'll say, while carefully tearing down your character. To navigate this current does not require confrontation. It requires clarity. You must learn to trust the wisdom of your body. Trust the feeling. Trust the space between their words. You do not need to prove their ill intent. Their energy is the only evidence you need. Simply withdraw your own energy from that dynamic. Do not offer your light to a black hole. Do not bleed yourself dry trying to win the approval of someone whose spirit is not cheering for you. You are not being paranoid. You are being perceptive. You are reading the language that exists beneath words. And in this, you protect your own sacred space, not with a sword, but with the quiet power of your awareness. These currents of burden, of debt, of inherited storms, of the diminished self, of hidden thorns, they are not separate oceans. They are all flows of the same river, the river of human connection and consciousness. The point of seeing them is not to create a list of enemies, not to label people as toxic and build a fortress. That is the path of fear. The path of wisdom is to see these currents as mirrors. When someone's neediness drains you, the mirror asks, where am I not honoring my own boundaries? When someone's hidden envy stings you, the mirror asks, where do I seek validation from those who cannot give it? This practice is not about judging them. It is about knowing yourself. The map of these energies is not the territory of another person's soul. It is a guide to understanding your own. It is a tool for navigating the world with an open heart, but a protected core. The highest aim is not to avoid all people who might drain you. That is impossible. The aim is to become such a conscious guardian of your own inner vessel that even when a request is made, even when a negative energy is present, it does not automatically enter and displace your own peace. You see it, you acknowledge it, and you choose. You choose whether to engage. You choose how much to give. You become the master of your own flow. This wisdom is not a set of rigid rules. It is like clay. In your hands, it can be shaped into a shield when you need protection, or a cup when you wish to give freely. You are the potter. You have the ultimate authority. Your life is not a series of reactions to the demands of others. It is a conscious creation. So, the invitation is not to turn away from the world in fear. It is to turn towards yourself in love. To recognize that your energy, your peace, your light, these are the most precious resources you have. They are the water that will make your own garden bloom. And so, let us end where we began, with the breath. A final, quiet observation. The greatest act of self-love is not building a wall. It is becoming the gatekeeper. It is learning to say no with the same compassion with which you say yes. It is understanding that to protect your peace is not an act of separation, but the highest form of connection to the source of life that flows within you. I invite you now, for just the rest of this day, to simply watch. Do not judge, do not act, do not label. Simply observe where your life force goes, in your conversations, in your thoughts, in your actions. And ask gently, does this nourish me or does this deplete me? You do not need to share what you find with anyone. The knowing is enough. May you walk with the clarity of a clear sky. May your vessel be full of your own pure water. And may you find stillness, even as the river of the world flows on around you.